Over the 4th of July weekend, LitHub put out a list of the 21 most anticipated sci-fi, horror, and fantasy books coming out for the rest of 2024. So I thought we could take a look at them. First up is The Nightmare Box and Other Stories by Cynthia Gomez. I actually haven't heard much about this one, but I do love this cover, and I was intrigued by the content, so I might check this one out eventually. Then we had Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I've seen a lot of mutuals on here who got advanced reader copies. That's just something I don't do because I don't have the time, but and I hate to commit to them. But I am definitely going to read this at some point. Although I might try to read Camp Damascus first because I haven't really read any Chuck Tingle before, and so many people were effusive about that. But this one looks very interesting. I love the plot. I love this cover. I'm definitely getting this one. This is a book that I had heard zero about until I saw this article, and I'm so intrigued by. I definitely am looking forward to this. This is The Book of Elsewhere. This is by Keanu Reeves and China Mieville. Description on LitHub describes this as an action-packed thriller with an immortal pig and digressions on ethics, morality, and humanity. I'm here for it. This seems very interesting. I am really intrigued by this one. And I say that as somebody who, when a celebrity kind of gets into the book space, I'm always a little hesitant. But I mean, it's Keanu Reeves. I don't know. I feel like we can welcome Keanu Reeves, right? House of Bone and Rain. I hadn't heard much about this one, but it sounds absolutely fascinating. It's definitely going on my TBR list. In this one, a group of five boys plots to take down the biggest gang in Puerto Rico after one of their moms is unalived at the same time that a hurricane hits. It sounds like an incredible setup. And then we have the new one from James S.A. Corey. This is the first book after the end of the Expanse series. I have not read the Expanse books. I really should though, because I love that show and I really want to see what he did with it in those books. But I am kind of tempted because this is a new thing to jump on board with this. This is one of my problems. I tend to go towards the new thing, not the tried and true thing. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. So if you have opinions about that, let me know. Then there's a new book from Tenebrous Press. If you're not following Tenebrous Press, they do so many cool things. Like I just want to pick up the books they publish because they always seem intriguing. They're always well presented. This cover is gorgeous. I love it. And then here's a nonfiction book. It's Horror for Weenies. This is for people who are intrigued by horror, but maybe scared by it as well. I love the concept of this. I mean, I certainly have kind of been there at one point in my life as well before I became a true aggressive lover of all things horror. The Night Guest, this looks like an intriguing sort of take on the idea of sleepwalking. It involves a woman in Reykjavik who is walking a lot, basically, and it kind of plays with the idea of what happens when we sleep. And then there's TJ Klune's Somewhere Beyond the Sea. This is the sequel to The House on the Cerulean Sea. Then we have Not a Speck of Light Stories. This is another story collection, another horror story collection from Laird Barron. I have actually never read any Laird Barron, and I would love to know if people are fans and if I should check this out. But this description by Drew Broussard, who wrote this original LitHub article, says his particular grasp of the weird speaks directly to the dark caves of my soul. And I love that sentence and I love that sentiment. So I'm very intrigued. Then there is Hampton Heights, or as the full book is called, and I'm going to have to read this, Hampton Heights, One Harrowing Night in the Most Haunted Neighborhood in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This looks fun, very much Stranger Things vibes. They are newsboys taking on a bunch of monsters. This looks like it could be a lot of fun, and I'm intrigued to see what people think of this because I might pick this one up. I could be convinced. Then there is The Naming Song. This one sounds really intriguing. There's a magic train. It's about a society who's lost language and is trying to get it back. Call me intrigued. There's a reason why I have a book buying ban for the second part of the year because I would be buying a lot of these books probably, and I may still buy some of them. Then we have The City of Glass, which I think is an unfortunate name only because there's been so many cities and glasses and whatever. But I love this cover. I think that's great. And the publicity has cited people like Calvino, Mieville, Le Guin. So, I mean, that's very impressive sounding. Then we have Model Home. This is a haunted house tale, but it deals with segregation and racism in the American South. It sounds amazing. It sounds like such the perfect vehicle. I love the haunted house story as a vehicle for talking about culture, and this sounds right up my alley. And then we have The Great When by Alan Moore. I have almost picked up an Alan Moore book so many times, and I really need to get to it because I do admire Alan Moore a ton. I've read quite a few of his comic books. In fact, I have one that I want to talk about later on this year that I have to get back to and read fully. But I've just never read any of his prose. I've been slightly intimidated in a weird way because the way his mind works. But this sounds really cool. This is about a fictional book that Arthur Machen wrote that ends up in a used bookstore. You have me there already. You just have me there. The rest of it is relevant. I love this cover. I'm going to get this book. Then we have Coup de Grace. This is actually the only book on this list that I've already pre-ordered. Although I'm kind of thinking about taking advantage of the Barnes and Noble pre-order sale to get a few more of these. But this one has been compared to Piranesi and The House of Leaves, and that was all I needed because I love both of those books. Then we have The Black Hunger. This is a queer historical gothic tale, which could describe my book, The Master of Sheerhaven. Obviously, I will buy this book and read it because I'm too intrigued. American Rapture is described as a tale of lust zombies, whatever that means, and a good Catholic girl trying to find her family in the breakdown of society. This sounds very intriguing. I want to know what lust zombies is and how that works. Swarm is rather topical with the little outbreak of cicadas that we had. I didn't really get any in our area, and not that I was disappointed, but I did kind of want to hear them. But I've been through them before. It's fine. Anyway, this book is about cicadas who are the harbingers of the apocalypse. And then, of course, we have Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. This is a huge thing. It is winding up the Stormlight Archive. And then finally, there is Rose/House. This is by Arkady Martin. This was released in a very limited way and now is being given to the masses. I have not read this story, but it does seem very intriguing. It's about an AI house. Apparently, it involves architecture and perception, and I am very fascinated. So, which of these books intrigue you? Which ones are you going to add to your pre order list? And which ones are you just going to stay away from? I'd love to know.